Okay, wenn du in Deutschland bist und Glücksspiel magst, hier ist meine Meinung. Ich spiele jetzt seit 3 Monaten im Zoome Casino und ehrlich gesagt gefällt es mir wirklich sehr. Ich zahle normalerweise zwischen 100 Euro und 200 Euro ein und gewinne regelmäßig bis zu 3000 Euro. Schnelle Auszahlungen jedes Mal, keine Verzögerungen und keine seltsamen Verifizierungen. Die Spiele sind auch offiziell, keine Demo-Versionen oder Fälschungen. Echte Slots, Top-Spiele, die die Leute tatsächlich spielen. Das ist die App, die ich benutze. Hier gibt es viele Spiele mit hohem RTP und echten Jackpot-Chancen und alles funktioniert hier in Deutschland perfekt. Ich spiele persönlich gerne Book of Ray und Son of Egypt 3. Ich spiele, ich gewinne, ich bekomme mein Geld. Wenn du es selbst ausprobieren möchtest, findest du den Link zur App unten.
So these are the Sony WH-CH520s. They came out alongside the Sony WH-CH720Ns, and after checking out the WH-720Ns and seeing all of the improvements found on them from their predecessors, I decided that I needed to check out the WH-520s as well. And just like the WH-720Ns, I was not disappointed because the WH-520s also have some very important improvements from its predecessors. Now first, I do have to point out that these headphones don't come included with a case, and in general, on-ear headphones in this price range don't usually come included with a carrying case. However, if you do want to buy your own case, you can always do that. Just keep in mind that these headphones have a lay-flat design to them. But now let's talk about the headphones themselves. Now, the build quality on the WH-520s isn't as good as the build quality that's found on the WH-720Ns. The leatherette just doesn't feel as good, and the headband isn't made out of stainless steel, but the plastics are the same. But more importantly, the build quality on the WH-520s is much better from its predecessors. The plastics feel sturdier, the click of the headband feels better, the headband now has padding and leatherette, the WH-520 no longer have any exposed wires, and tolerances are just tighter. Overall, the WH-520s just feel more premium and sturdier in your hands than their predecessors. Now, when it comes to fit, the most important thing to keep in mind here is these are on-ear headphones, not over-ear headphones like the WH-720Ns. So by default, the WH-720Ns are going to be more comfortable than the WH-520s because the ear pads aren't going to rest directly on your ears. However, as on-ear headphones go, these aren't half bad. The padding on these ear pads is very soft, but when it comes to clamping force, these headphones do have a rather firm fit to them, which could be good if you have a smaller head, or if you're a woman, or if you need something to work out with. But after a while, this plastic headband does mold to the size of your head. And from a weight standpoint, these headphones weigh in at 144 grams, so you don't really notice them shifting around on your head while you're walking around with them on. So overall, as on-ear headphones go, the WH-520s are fairly comfortable. But if you want something more comfortable, you are going to want to go with a pair of over-ear headphones, and the WH-720Ns would be a good alternative. But when compared to their predecessors, the WH-520s just sit more naturally on your head than the WH-510s do. But now let's talk about tech specs. When it comes to battery life, these headphones have an advertised battery life of 50 hours, which is really good, and this is also an improvement from their predecessors because they can only go for as long as 35 hours. Now, when it comes to charging these headphones, they charge via a USB-C port as they should. And when it comes to their fast charging, if you were to plug them in for 3 minutes from a dead battery, you're going to get an hour and a half of playback time. Now, when it comes to Bluetooth connectivity, these headphones can be connected to 2 devices at the same time, which is good if you're a power user, because then this way you can hot swap between your phone and your computer, and your 2 devices don't necessarily have to be in the same ecosystem. And this is a big deal because this is a feature that the WH-510s didn't have. The only thing to keep in mind is if you want to use multi-point connectivity, you are going to have to go into their app and turn this feature on. Personally, I feel this feature should just be turned on by default, but it's just not. But when it comes to overall performance, these headphones have 0 latency across the board when watching movies or videos on your phone, whether you're using an iPhone or an Android device. And when it comes to audio codecs, these headphones have support for SBC and AAC, which is a very standard stack. But I also want to confirm that these headphones do not have LDAC. Now, their app does make reference to LDAC when you try to turn on their multi-point connectivity, but I double confirmed these headphones do not have LDAC. I just think it's a glitch in their app. But also, it's very important to keep in mind that you can only use these headphones wirelessly. Unfortunately, they do not have an audio jack, and you also can't use their USB-C port as a wired connection. So I just feel that this is something that you should definitely keep in mind, especially if you're a frequent flyer. But now let's talk about actually listening to music with these headphones. Now, the Watcha 520s have 38mm drivers, just like with the Watcha 720Ns. And just like the Watcha 720Ns, the Watcha 520s also connect to Sony's headphones app. So you can customize their EQ. And this is a big deal because the Watcha 510s didn't connect to Sony's app. And from a sound quality standpoint, I honestly can't complain about how these headphones sound. Now, the Watcha 520s sound like your typical pair of Sony headphones, as in they sound good enough to get the job done. But they don't have the best instrument separation because they can sound a little narrow and the instrumentals can get lost a little bit. So these headphones are mostly bass and vocals. But besides that, they still sound and perform good. And they also have a decent amount of physicality on their bass. However, I did notice that the bass on the Watcha 720Ns did hit a little harder, even though these are also using 30mm drivers. Now, definitely these headphones don't have enough bass to satisfy a bass head, but if you're a casual listener, this should be able to deliver. Now, when it comes to the meter controls, these headphones are using physical buttons, just like with the Watcha 720Ns. Now, these buttons are easy enough to use and they have a good click to them, but they can be a little hard to tell apart. But now, just so that there isn't any confusion here, these headphones don't have any active noise cancellation and they also don't have an ambient mode. So alongside the more comfortable fit found on the Watcha 720Ns and the punchier bass, another reason why you might want to go with the Watcha 720Ns is because of the active noise cancellation and ambient mode. But finally, here's the microphone test. Now, I feel the microphone on the Watcha 510s isn't the greatest. However, the microphone on the Watcha 520s does sound better. My voice doesn't sound as robotic and it doesn't sound as far away. But I do think that with the Watcha 720Ns, I do think that this microphone does sound a little better. Now, when it comes to blocking out noise pollution, the Watcha 720Ns aren't doing the best job of blocking out this road noise, but they are doing something. And the Watcha 520s are also trying to reduce this road noise. Whereas with the Watcha 510s, they are trying to block out this road noise, but with some rather poor results. Now, when it comes to blocking out chatter, these are doing an okay job. And the Watcha 520s are also doing an okay job of dealing with this chatter in the background. And with the Watcha 720Ns, these are also trying to block out this chatter. So overall, I do feel that the Watcha 520s have a decent enough sounding microphone on them, but you do want to try to take phone calls with them in a quieter environment. But with all that being said, I honestly can't be upset at the Sony WH-CH520s. Most importantly, they have much better build quality from their predecessors, and they also rest much more naturally on your head, making them feel more comfortable. They sound good enough to get the job done, and they have a very good battery life. If you're looking for an affordable pair of on-ear headphones, you can't go wrong with the WH-CH520s. However, if for some reason you're trying to choose between the WH-CH520s and the WH-CH720Ns, then the Watcha 720Ns are definitely worth the upgrade. They are much more comfortable because these are over-ear headphones.